Hi guys, welcome to another Divi theme video. This is Jamie from System 22 and webdesignandtechtips.com. Well, we got a fun one for you today. I've got 6 modules here, as you can see. We've got an image and a title on each, with a little bit of a gradient on top so you can read the title there. When you click on them, they're going to grow, reveal the content below, and darken out that image in the back so you can see it. Now you can click on as many or as few as you like. When you click on them again, they'll go back to how they were. Just a nice little interactive thing to have on your site. Really easy to do. Got to do a bit of coding, but as in most of my videos, I've done it all for you, and you can create your own with it. So let's get started. I'm going to create a new page. Call it what you want. And of course, we're going to use the Divi builder. I'm going to go ahead and build from scratch. Got a section here. It's prompting us to put in a column. I'm going to throw 3 in mine. Obviously, put as many or as few in yours as you wish. I'm going to use a call to action module for mine today. You can use pretty much any module that you want for this. So let's pop one in there. I'm going to take a little bit of that text away. If you notice on this one here, we've got different amounts of text in each one. And they're going to remain the same height because we've actually given them a fixed height here. Okay. I'm going to leave mine pretty much exactly like that. Obviously, you're going to have some real content in yours. Put a little title in there if you want to. If you want to add a button, you can do it with a link here. As soon as you add a link to the button, it'll show up. I'm going to leave mine just like that today. Background-wise, I'm going to throw an image in there. Pop in whatever image you want to put in yours. That's a kind of busy image, and the writing's getting a little lost in there. Initially, I'm going to hide this bit of the text right here and just have the title showing. So I'm going to put a little gradient over the top here just to emphasize the title up there. So still in gradient, I'm going to go ahead and get rid of that background color that's there. I'm going to go over to gradient here. I'm going to hit add a background gradient. Now before it'll actually show up, we need to go to our image just next door. Background image blend. We're going to multiply, and it'll multiply that gradient with the actual image. As you can see, got blue on the top and green on the bottom there. Now if we go back to our gradient, I can manipulate it the way I want to. So I'm going to click on my green stop there. That brings up the green color, as you can see. I'm going to pull the opacity all the way down so that's transparent on the bottom. We just got the image going through. And this top one over here, if I click on it, I'm going to change that to a black. And I'm going to move the gradient. As you can see, we've got black at the top, transparent at the bottom. I'm going to move the gradient so it's just up a little bit, so it's not down quite as far, by moving the transparent one upwards. As I move this to the left, you'll see that the transparent area is going upwards. So I want it something like that. Because remember, we're going to get rid of this text here. All we're going to have there is the title. Great, well, let's do a little bit of coding here. Great, let's add a little bit of code. To do this today, I'm going to add a little code module. So I'm going to add a new little row just underneath this one. I'm going to make it a single column. I'm going to add a code module. Okay, well, I've got the code written over here at GitHub. Little gist here with the code already in there. I'm going to select this. At the moment, I've got some script here, which is going to enable the toggling back and forth between our two classes. I've got some blank style tabs where we can style it the way we want to. So I'm going to copy this from the opening style tag to the closing script tag there, Control-C to copy. Go back to our site, pop your cursor in your code module, and let's just paste that in there. Now basically what we've got here is a bit of JavaScript that's going to flip from two classes, one called class 1 and one called class 2. If we're displaying class 1 and you click on it, it's going to flip to class 2. If you're displaying class 2 and you click on it, it's going to change back to class 1 again. So let's create these classes and make it do what we want here. Now I'm going to do it my way, and I will put this CSS back in the gist for you, but you're probably going to want to style yours a different way. So in the style, let's create class 1. All CSS class names have a dot or a period in front and the class name, class 1. We'll open and close some curly brackets. Now size-wise, I want this to stay about the same size. I'm going to make it slightly deeper. And then class 2, when we click on it, I'm going to make it rounded and make it a bit bigger. So scale-wise, I'm going to say transform scale. I'm going to keep it at its normal size. So I'll say transform, scale. Some round brackets right at the end. I'm just going to put a 1 in between there, which will be 100%. Put a little semicolon after that. If you don't, it won't read the next line of code within the curly brackets there. I'm going to make sure it's got square corners like we've got here by having a border radius of 0 also. So I say border radius, border-radius, colon, 0. And again, we'll put a semicolon there. Fantastic. Now we're going to change it out a little bit. I'll just save this and we'll actually give it the class 1 name. You'll see the changes take place in real time. At the moment, it's not going to change because that's really not changing anything. That's for when it changes back. So let's give it initially, going into the module itself, over to advanced, CSS IDs in classes. Make sure you put it in the class, not the ID, it will not work. And the class name was class 1. You can change these to anything you want. Make sure you change them in the script as well as the CSS though. I'll show you that in a little while. Great. Now I've applied that class to it. We'll go back into our code module. We'll start adding a bit more. So I'm going to make this slightly deeper. I'm going to make it 300 so we can have different amounts of text in there and it won't change the size. To do that, I'm going to give it a fixed height. So we're going to say height, colon, 300 pixels. When I put this in, you should see it grow a little bit there. Fantastic. That's going to work for me. And as we're going to make the class 2 grow a little bit, I'm going to give it a bit of extra margin on the bottom, just so in this state it doesn't overlap too much. So a little semicolon, and we'll say margin, bottom, 50 pixels. And you can adjust that to taste. You won't see any difference there because it's adding basically 50 pixels of white space at the bottom there. Great. Okay, well, let's make this writing disappear because I only want to see this writing appear when they click on it. And that's paragraph text right there. So we can target that by saying .class1 space and a P for the paragraph text. And we'll open and close some more curly brackets. If I say opacity is 0, it'll disappear. So we're just left with that nice title that's got that gradient highlight in it. Fantastic. I'll put a little semicolon there in case we want to add a bit of more code. Well, let's make our class 2 now, which is going to flip from class 1 to class 2 and back. And we want to make this quite a bit different. I'm going to change the background color. I'm going to make it bigger. So we'll drop down a little bit. Class name again, so you have a dollar period, class 2. And if you want to see what we're actually doing with this, you can give this the class name of class 2. Let's actually do that so we can build it into something different. Remember, we're doing most of this styling within our CSS here rather than in the module. So I'm going to go in here. Let's make this class 2 now. Just going to flip that from 1 to a 2. It's gone back to how it was originally, as you can see there. We've still got that text highlighted. And we'll go back into our code now. And we'll style it how we want it for class 2. Well, the first thing I want to do is put a background overlay on that image so that we can read that text a lot better. So I'm going to say background. I'm going to make a color, background color. And I'm going to make mine a full black, which is hashtag and 6. It's actually 3 with CSS3. But I'm going to use a bit of opacity on the end. I'm going to make mine 90 on the end there. And it'll show just a hint of that picture through there, which I quite like. Now I'm going to make it bigger by transforming scale. transform, colon, scale, and some rounded brackets at the end there. Remember we did that with our first one up here. I want mine to be about 1.2. I need to put a semicolon there or it won't read this. So let's try that. 1.2. As you can see, that's made it grow. To make it circular, I want to give it a border radius, dash radius, of 50%, which should make it circular-ish. Now we've got an oval there. To make something circular, you need to start off with a square. So I'm going to make the height and the width the same. So I'm going to say height, 350 pixels. And I'm also going to make width 350. 350 px. Great. We got a circle there. Fantastic. Just exactly what I wanted. Now I want to push this down a little bit so it's more central. To do that, I'm going to say padding, dash top. I'm going to make mine 100 pixels. Now we're overriding the initial style. So what we've got to do is force it using important. I don't like to use this, but sometimes you have to. This is one of those cases. Exclamation mark, important. As you can see, that's popped that down. I think we may pop one of those on the color as well, because we're actually overriding the gradient style. So I'm going to copy that and I'm going to add it just after my color up here at the top. Great. Well, we're getting there. Now I'm going to take the margin off of the bottom there that we put on for our class 1 because it's grown a lot more. So I'll say margin, dash bottom, or you can copy it from the top there. We're just going to put a 0 in there. And when it grows, it's going to kind of push it to the right. And I happen to know that was about 17 pixels, I think, because we've scaled it up. So to counter that, I'm going to say margin left, dash left, negative 17 pixels. And depending on what size you've used for yours, you can adjust that. That's great. So it's going to flip from this one to that one, but it's going to do it instantly if I leave it like this. I want them to do it gradually, both times when they click. So I'm going to drop down. I'm going to say class 1. I'm going to put a comma after that. And class 2. We'll open and close some curly brackets there. I want the transition for both of those to take about 3/4 of a second. So I'm going to say transition, colon, all 0.5 seconds or 0.75 seconds, whatever it is you want to make yours. 0.75s, and I want it to ease in. Now, so they know that they can actually click on it, I want the pointer to be a hand whenever they hover over either these, class 1 or class 2. So again, in our class 1, class 2 here, need to put a dot on the back end of those or they're not going to see them as classes. In our class 1 and class 2, I'm going to say cursor pointer. So we'll have that hand icon now. Great. Well, let's save that. We've already got our JavaScript in place here. And like I mentioned earlier, it's going to flip from one to the other. If it's on that one, it's going to flip back to the first one. So let's change this class back to class 1 because that's what I want to see initially, that little square box. To do that, we'll go back in there, over to Advanced, CSS IDs and Classes. I'm going to flip that back to class 1. Should change to our little square right there with just the title. Perfect. Let's make sure this is all going to work. So I'm going to save my changes now. Save draft or publish if you're ready. Let's exit the Visual Builder. And when I go down now, it's doing it. I haven't got my little cursor pointer in there. But we are changing from the square one with the image without the title to the one with the colored background and the content. Let's just check the code there. I'm going to re-enable the Visual Builder. Go down to my little code module down here. I spelled cursor wrong. If you spell anything wrong with CSS or JavaScript, it will not work. So that's why that's not working. And we should have our little hand pointer when we save now. Let's just resave this. And of course, to duplicate this, really easy. All you need to do is duplicate the module, pull it across wherever you want it. We'll switch out that background. Background always on the content there. Just need to switch out the image. And of course, you'd have different content for yours under the text there. Let's just take a bit of this away. And then we'll clone it again. 2 little squares, drag one of them across, doesn't matter which one again, they're identical. Drop it where you want it. We'll go in, we'll add a bit of text to this one perhaps. Just to show you can have different amounts of text, it won't affect the size at all. And we'll switch out the image on this one. Great. One other thing you can do at the moment, when these grow, it's going to push the bottom down just a little bit right there. I'm not worried about that, so I'm going to leave mine. But if you don't want it to happen, you can give your row here a fixed height and take into account that. So try making this 400 perhaps, green tab for the row, design, sizing. Here's the height. Use a minimum height perhaps. Well, give it 400 pixels. I may not have given enough, but that should counter that a little bit. If it's not, you can just add a little bit more. Let's save draft, and we'll take a look at the front end now. Here's our first one. As you can see, we've got that hand pointer now, indicating that something is going to happen there. I'm clicking on it, and that bottom is not going anywhere. Oh, it's adjusted just a little bit. So I can make it another 20 pixels or so if I wanted that to not happen. Here's our next one. It's got a different amount of text, but of course it's coming out the same size. Here's our third one, same deal. And of course you can have as many or as few open at the same time as you want to. So there you go, guys. There's how to have an image with a title. When you click on it, it's going to expand and reveal the text content there. I hope you've enjoyed this today and found it useful. If you have, please give it a thumbs up, ring the bell, comment, share, and subscribe to the YouTube channel. Just to show you, this will work on tablet and mobile absolutely fine. If I hit my F12 key here, my inspector tools, let's have a look on mobile devices. There it is on an iPhone 12. And as you can see, we can tap, it'll go back to how it was. Let's take a look on a tablet. Here we are on an iPad Air. We could put a media query in there if you wanted to have these central, but that actually works quite nicely. So there we have it, guys. I hope you've enjoyed this today and found it useful. Once again, this has been Jamie from System22 and webdesignandtechtips.com. Don't forget, if you have any questions, pop them down below the video. I'll do my best to answer them for you, or make a little demo video just like this one. So thanks for watching. Have a great day.